ahead, Ed.
Yeah, I want to ask you about oil, if I could, and the money that it's bringing in. So is the amount of oil that's being brought in by Iran, specifically records amount, 85% to China, and more oil being sold above the price cap from Russia, giving the president any pause on changing these energy policies for fossil fuels here in the U.S.?
Let me back up a little bit. I mean, it's important to remember that Iran gets most of its oil revenue off the black market, and evading sanctions, which they do, it's costly to them. In fact, our evidence is that they really only receive a fraction of the market value of the oil that they sell because they have to sell it on the black market. We will always, as we do in any case, typically revisit sanctions regimes to see if they need to be changed or adjusted, specifically with respect to Iranian oil. The president, since the beginning of the administration, has been concerned about making sure we have a viable global market for oil, working hard to keep the prices of gasoline down here in the United States. Part of that is making sure you remove some of the volatility in that global supply and demand. I don't have any announcements or decisions to make today with respect to any changes to the domestic oil production.
But isn't it a national security issue when you have countries that are profiting off of oil and the increased price of oil that don't like Israel, that don't like America?
We don't want, for instance, Russia to be able to get a windfall in profits from the oil market, so that they can then turn that around and apply that to weapons in Ukraine. We certainly don't want to see Iran be able to do much of the same, which is why we're putting as much pressure on them as we are.
So why not increase oil production here?
Again, I don't have any announcements to make today.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. Just to follow up on Brian's question, I know contours of the congressional package is still taking shape, but can you provide us anything on a timeline or give us a sense of how quickly the U.S. would exhaust what it can provide to Israel before congressional action is needed?
We have existing authorities and appropriations to support Israel in the near term. And I got asked last time, what does near term or what's a bit mean? I can't give you a date certain on the calendar because a lot of it's going to depend on their expenditure rate and what the replenishment ability is, or what the need is, and what our ability to do it is. But in the near term, we've got appropriations and authorities for both Ukraine and for Israel. But you don't want to be trying to bake in long-term support when you're at the end of the rope. And in Ukraine, on the Ukraine funding, we're coming near to the end of the rope. I mean, today we announced $200 million. And we'll keep that aid going as long as we can, but it's not going to be indefinite. So are we moving with a sense of alacrity? Absolutely. I couldn't give you a date certain on the calendar.